pretty straightforward ones, you know. Bahai religion.
Look, from the very beginning, football's been a conspiracy to make us hungry.
Is this... That looks like it's working better now. I'm just going to test the chat another time. Where did it go, though? $300 by 500. Was that... Yeah, 300 width. Okay. Alright. I think we got it. And then, where my window? Oh, no, that's not what I want. Ah, that's not what I want at all. How did I do that? Okay, this is the one I want. Did Justin Baldoni's Bahai religion? Why can't I have that as an option? Do I need to click into it again? Now it's there. Okay. All right. I'm hoping that my audio is working. And what I'm going to do to check that, because I don't have somebody looking at my unlisted stream right now, I'm watching my own thing. This is a little bit of more of a lag than I thought there was. Now it's there. Okay. All right. Hoping that my audio is working. And what I'm going to do to... So it sounds like it's quiet, though. But I don't really know what to do about that. I think, well, I guess also my computer audio was kind of quiet. So I'll see how it sounds. I'm sorry that there's going to be an atrocious delay if anybody's watching this after the fact. Check that because I don't have somebody looking at my loud. Quiet. So I'll see how it sounds. I'm sorry that there's going to be an atrocious delay if anybody's watching this after the fact. Check that because I don't have somebody looking at my Okay, I think that might be as good as I can get the audio to sound. So let me go ahead and make this public. I'm public, and now I'm going to post it in Blue Sky, and we'll just see how long it takes for people to show up. How do I get my chat popped out again? Because that's what I need. Because I actually had it, and then now I don't because it's in that. One day I'm going to get really good at streaming. I'm going to just be amazing at it, and right as soon as I start, I'm going to know what I'm doing. Okay. Hello, welcome. People are here. Perfect. I'm going to just go ahead and pop out the chat now. Hopefully the chat looks okay on screen. Welcome. Hello. So I'm talking about this new Hollywood Reporter article that was dropped today. I don't know if anyone has already seen it, if anybody's looked at it yet. It's got some real sloppy AI art that I really, really hate. Hello! No, yeah, I'm just getting started. Welcome. I did not even realize that I was gonna do this tonight, but thank you. Sorry, I'm just trying to get my own link so that I can post it on Blue Sky. But I only just got started, and I was thinking about trying to record for a video, and then I realized I didn't really have anything scripted to the extent that it would even be worth it. So I figured I'd just come and talk about this article and read it. But essentially, this is a Hollywood Reporter article that is making the argument of, what if this is all a cultural misunderstanding and this is actually what Bahai people are like, and so therefore Blake didn't understand. And it's a badly written article. It's really, really badly done. There's some actual concerns with it. I'm just gonna make sure Blue Sky people know to come hang. But, alright. I saw the cover and saw your face and came running. Thank you. Welcome. Yeah. Okay, so first of all, this guy writes right-wing stuff, to my understanding. I haven't looked entirely into this, but my understanding is that just this person who is writing this article makes it kind of not really a neutral thing. Even though it attempts a little bit at neutrality, but I don't think it's a very neutral article. I think it's trying a lot harder to give Baldoni a benefit of a doubt than it is to Blake. But this is by Peter Kiefer. What role did the controversial director's Bahai religion play on the set of It Ends With Us? Could everything that went wrong with the movie have been one cultural misunderstanding? Which I just... Interesting. It's very interesting. The scroll up to the garbage AI art gave me a visceral reaction. No, me too. As soon as I saw it, like, somebody texted it to me and I was just like, literally full body cringe. It looks so nasty. And also though, what I'm confused about, because I'm gonna scroll out a little bit. This is a big boy. It's not really giving me a full picture though, even if I scroll out. So when I'm first looking at it, I just hate it because it looks like nasty, shiny slop AI art. And I still hate it. But also, one thing that confused me is, like, Blake has, like, this slingshot. And so my mind is kind of like, are they trying to do a David and Goliath thing? Because if it's David and Goliath and she is cast as David and he is cast as Goliath, then actually she's the good guy. But also, you can tell from the way that this is composed that she is not framed as the good guy, right? She is the one attacking him. I guess maybe this is also supposed to be a slingshot, so I'm missing it here with the David and Goliath thing. You got his lawyer standing in the background looking on proudly, and you have Nice Pool over here laughing. Some flower petals from the cover of the book, and I just hate it. I just think it's gross and nasty, and I think people looking at this, you know, my David and Goliath read is not the one that I think most people are going to have on it. And I think it intentionally was designed that way. Hi, Sunny, welcome. I really want to know what the prompt was that generated that art. Yeah, me too. Cultural misunderstanding argument falls flat. Cultural misunderstanding argument falls short when 1, they received complaints to stop, and 2, they retaliated. Yeah, Yeah, they just threw Jenny under the bus. They did, and she's like, again, I said this in my video about Blake's amended complaint, but the difference between the way that Justin's team wants to put everybody out there, and Blake attempting to protect the other women on the set, it's frustrating to me. So yeah, we're gonna go over this article together. I have already read it, but I'm going to read the whole thing because this is just a research stream and we do this kind of thing on those. But Cain and Abel, that maybe. Yeah, I hate it. It looks so bad. Now I gotta zoom in so that I can actually read. Throughout the entire production of It Ends With Us, a persistent and peculiar rumor circulated on the set. According to this rumor, Justin Baldoni and It Ends With Us author Colleen Hoover shared a spiritual bond. Both were supposedly members of a small, obscure Iranian religious community known as Bahai. It was this shared faith, or so the rumor went, that helped the 41 director initially secure the rights to It Ends With Us. And it says this in the next thing, but like literally the next line, none of that was true. I was actually shocked reading the beginning of this complaint that anybody was even saying that anybody was even attempting to say that Colleen Hoover was Bahai, because I would have assumed if she's anything, she's Christian, like she's a white Southern Texan lady. So I'm it's interesting to me that was a rumor that was spreading on the set. It seems like maybe nobody on the set really knew very much about Colleen, which is weird for a book based on for a movie based on a Colleen Hoover book. Yeah, I've never heard that about Coho. Me neither, because it's not true. Justine, I'm preparing to be so mad. I haven't read it yet. I often like The Hollywood Reporter. The Hollywood Reporter has taken pretty much every possible side of this. Hollywood Reporter is where that awesome article with the intimacy coordinator came from. Hollywood Reporter also, though, originally were the ones who were saying, oh, it's creative differences. It's a fracture, and there are multiple cuts of the movie. Like, I think Hollywood Reporter. I'm checking into this for my timeline video, but I'm pretty sure the Hollywood Reporter has taken every single side of this. It's that Always Sunny, I'm playing both sides, so I always come out on top thing. I assumed he got the rights because he wanted them and she likes money. Yeah, no, pretty much. And that's also what is pretty much conveyed in the email that he shared of him asking her if she would option, and then her being like, hey, do you want to play Ryle? And then he like didn't decide he wanted to play Ryle for 2 years or whatever it is he says. But yeah, apparently this was a rumor that was going on throughout the entire production of It Ends With Us. But yeah, as it says, none of that was true. Hoover grew up in a small town in Texas filled with Southern Baptists, and a source close to the novelist insists she has never been part of the Bahai community, nor was there anything spiritual about the way in which the rights to Hoover's books were secured. Oh, sorry, Hoover's book. It just says book. I'm trying to be more, I don't want to say plural because I'm actually not sure if they do have the rights to the second one. About the rights to Hoover's book were secured. It was Hoover's former editor turned literary agent named Joanna Castillo who brokered the rights agreement of It Ends With Us with Baldoni. According to a source close to Hoover, when the 45-year-old best-selling author became aware of the rumor shortly after the production wrapped, she was upset, but ultimately decided it was easiest to just let it go. A spokesperson for Hoover's publisher, Simon & Schuster, declined to comment. Still, the story is instructive, shedding some revealing light on what's been one of the most scrutinized and polarizing public feuds in recent Hollywood history. For those who have been blissfully able to avoid the whole fracas, Blake Lively's December complaint with the California Civil Rights Department, which then became the basis of a lawsuit, was the opening salvo in this uncivil war. In her lawsuit, she accused Baldoni and his partner Jamie Heath of all sorts of inappropriate behavior, including walking in on the actress while she was breastfeeding, using sexually charged language on set, and flouting industry-wide safety protocols, and then orchestrating a smear campaign against the orchestrating a smear campaign against the actress for standing up to him. Several additional lawsuits have since been filed, including 2 by Baldoni. He filed a $250 million libel lawsuit against the New York Times after it broke the news of Lively's allegations, and then a second suit against Lively, her husband Ryan Reynolds, and her publicist Leslie Sloan, seeking $400 million in damages and accusing them of defamation and other contractual claims. A judge has set a trial date of March 9th, 2026. From the outset, the Lively versus Baldoni feud has been framed as the newest chapter in Hollywood's ongoing fight for gender equality. It has rekindled increasingly dormant debates about sexual harassment and power dynamics, and that framing certainly could fit the facts. We'll have to see how it plays out in court. But there's also another possibility, one that has less to do with gender equality than it does a simple cultural misunderstanding. What if much of it, the alleged inappropriate hugging and pre-filming praying, could be explained as a clash between a very specific faith-driven community with its unique mores and a much more modern, post-#MeToo one with its own set of beliefs and commandments? And that's the beginning here, what we've got here. I'm checking in on chat here. Right, they're throwing an entire religion under the bus, and it literally, nothing that I have seen, and I will admit that I have done very little research into, Bahai itself, but my understanding is that the issue is Justin Baldoni and Jamie Heath, and not this entire religion. And so doing an entire article where the conceit is, what if their religion made them be inappropriate? That's just so nasty. Hello, welcome in. Yeah. It's the meme that's hard to believe I'm in the world's oldest city. Yeah. Yeah. So essentially we're gonna continue going here, and this article does, again, like I said about Hollywood Reporter kind of giving lip service to all sides. They do kind of pretend like they're being neutral, but it's just that this is such a goddamn slant, and it's really obvious that this is this. But also, one thing that I am thinking of while I'm reading this is the text messages from Baldoni's PR team. One of the things that they're we need to make sure that they're not reporting on feeling uncomfortable, on him being chauvinistic. And they specifically were saying that they wanted to make sure that they kept his religion out of the coverage. So it is kind of interesting to me that after that was a thing that they were actively attempting not to have to deal with in press coverage, that this is now a whole article that's actually his religion made him do it. Over the past several weeks, The Hollywood Reporter has interviewed multiple friends and former colleagues of Baldoni, along with members of the Bahai community, to piece together if and how this religion might have inadvertently contributed to the situation. Baldoni, whose Irish Catholic father and Ashkenazi mother both converted to the religion before he was born and raised in California, has made no secret about his devotion to the Bahai faith, which is based on notions of humanity, universalism, and gender equality. What's also clear from talking to people in his orbit is that Baldoni has his own unique way of communicating and behaving, much of it informed by the tenor of his religion. His unique mannerisms have at times come into conflict with Hollywood's current ethos, which in the wake of the hashtag #MeToo and Black Lives Matter movements and the COVID pandemic has become far more rigid, uniform, and policed. When analyzed through the prism of a 180-year-old faith that has a strong mystical component to it, at least some portions of this dispute start to make more sense. The Justin that I know isn't capable of doing the things that he's accused of doing because he truly sees himself as this feminist. But Blake clearly got grossed out, says a source who worked on It Ends With Us. I honestly feel like it was a perfect storm of two opposing personalities. When Baldoni and Wayfarer executives hold meetings, they often start by asking participants to go around the table and share something private, something that brings them joy and has nothing to do with their jobs or their career. In certain professional circles, like say those of yoga instructors and doulas, this type of icebreaker might be welcomed. But among time-crunched agents, entertainment lawyers, and studio executives, folks not exactly known for their touchy-feely ways, a gesture of this nature comes with risks. In my head, I was like, I'm sorry, are we at Cafe Fucking Gratitude? Says a female executive at a production company who sat down with Wayfarer executives last year, including Baldoni. Why are you imposing your culture on this meeting that's being held at our offices? I can't explain exactly why, but it made me so uncomfortable. And I'm gonna check in on chat before I continue reading here. Yeah. I'm sure all the nice, normal Bahai people are living the dream today. Exactly, right. I looked it up and I thought it was Bahai. Bahai. So I'm saying Bahai and it's Bahai. Thank you for that. In his head, he's still a good feminist because he didn't mean to harass her and he didn't personally send the hate mob, so he's still a chill guy. Yeah. Yeah, the defense quote is nothing. There's, like, pretty much nothing in here that actually defends him because, like, okay, even if this is culturally, like, a thing, which I don't believe it is, it still wouldn't be appropriate for them to have that be, like, an enforced part of workplace culture. Yeah, the funny thing about all of this is that his intentions are actually irrelevant. Right. It literally, you can't just be like, well, I have my freedom of religion to like, make everybody else do my religion at work. Like, but I've had this theory for a while, and I felt like I didn't have quite enough information about what Wayfarer was doing, to, like, you know, to say this, but I've had this theory that, like, Wayfarer is trying to be for Bahai, like, what that American Christian Christmas movie network is for Christianity. Like, and again, I would say more so the issue is specific types of Christians than specific types of Christianity. Hi, Kayla. Yeah, it's, he's also looking for some shield, like his wanting to use his neurodiversity as an excuse. It is exactly the same. It strikes me as exactly the same thing as, like, I want to deploy the neurodivergent excuse. Like, I really feel like they are deploying this excuse, and as is pointed out in the chat already, this is not a good thing to deploy an excuse for this one person, or I guess, like, Heath too, but it's not good to use this as an excuse for these people, because then it implies that all of the other people are bad, and are, like, inappropriate, and have no idea what boundaries are, or how to not have, like, an inappropriate and unsafe working condition. It's just nasty. So, we continue here talking, Wayfarer Studios was founded in 2019 by Baldoni and billionaire Steve Sarowitz, another Bahai follower who invested $125 million in the independent production studio that aims to produce purpose-driven content. Sarowitz, who made his fortune as the chairman of software company Paylocity, is relatively new to the entertainment industry. His first producing project in 2018 was The Gate, Dawn of the Bahai Faith, a docudrama about the founding of his religion. I'm the money and he's the fame, Sarowitz said about his partnership with Baldoni in a recent interview with the website Inspired Insider. In addition to Baldoni and Sarowitz, Wayfarer president Heath is also a member of the Bahai Faith, as are several other Wayfarer employees. We think we're one human family, Sarowitz told Inspired Insider. It's not like we need everyone to be Bahai. We just want to spread these teachings of oneness. And so that's what Wayfarer is doing. Bahai grew out of the Bobby. Oh, I lost my place. Babi faith, which was founded in what's now known as Iran in 1844 by Mirza Ali Muhammad, who assumed the title of the Bab. One of the Bab's earliest disciples became known as Baha'u'llah and is credited with founding the Bahai faith, which now has between 5 million and 8 million followers and a presence in more than 230 countries, making it one of the most widely dispersed religions in the world. There are volumes of sacred texts known as Bahai writings, which are tantamount to the Bahai's Old and New Testaments, that are authored by the Bab, Baha'u'llah, and several others. Los Angeles Bahai community has about 3,000 members, making it the largest in the United States. Within the entertainment industry, there's a small but vocal constituency. Both Rainn Wilson and Penn Badgley have spoken publicly about their commitment to the Bahai faith. Throughout their history, Baha'is have faced systemic repression, especially in Iran, where they are routinely arrested, detained, and imprisoned. Within the faith, there's no real hierarchy. There are no popes, priests, or clergy. Bahai instead rely on elected bodies known as spiritual assemblies to provide governance. According to Zachary Hearn, who is Bahai and a professor of history with a focus on religion at Idaho State University, the lack of a clergy or priesthood allows for an immense amount of flexibility in interpreting the holy texts. And this obviously, I've talked about my own background with religion on my channel enough. I feel like this is kind of understood knowledge about me. I was raised really non-denominational Christian, so obviously not the same as this. But what they're saying here about things being decentralized and that making it easier for people to just kind of do their own version, like, that's absolutely why there are so many Christian churches that are, like, completely off the rails and are, like, really weird mega churches, because it's like we didn't have a pope. We could do whatever the pastor wanted to do. Yeah, where in Bahai is it cool to not always ask for consent? I feel like that's a problem. Right. Apparently, Badgley joined after his relationship with Lively ended around 2011. Yes, and I have seen people trying to say that she was, like, against Justin because she had a grudge on Penn or whatever, and the timeline on that does not make sense because Badgley joined later, like he said. Yeah. Everyone is free to have and to explore their own interpretations of the Bahai writings, he says. Sometimes the message is explicit in the text, but members are urged not to go wild with their interpretation, but nobody has authority to say you're wrong. Nevertheless, there is a strict internal code. Essential tenets include reconciling religious belief with science and strict equality among men and women. Premarital sex is forbidden, as is the consumption of alcohol or drugs, and prayer, fasting, and meditation are the main rituals. Even before it ends with us, Baldoni wasn't afraid to inject elements of his religion on the set. He did talk about his religion a lot, says a source who worked on the 2019 coming-of-age romance 5 Feet Apart, which Baldoni directed. This had shades of Scientology, but with less of the prominence and people hovering at all times. Another source who also worked on 5 Feet Apart, however, has a very different impression of Baldoni and the influence of his religion on set. I've never worked with a male director who was so worried about everyone's emotional and mental well-being, says the source. There was an openness and emotionality to his style that was more typical of a woman, and it probably wouldn't be an issue if it was a woman, because of the preconceived notions of gender. But if you get a bunch of teamsters together who are told that they should share their feelings, of course someone is going to ask, why is he such a freak? But Justin genuinely believes that if we do this, we'll work better as a group. There's a little bit of an arrogance to it. It's like he doesn't want to acknowledge the world we live in. Because Baldoni wasn't merely directing It Ends With Us, but also producing it through Wayfarer, the Bahai faith was an even more pronounced on-set presence during production. On the first day of filming, several members of the crew participated in a Bahai prayer. According to a source, other members report that Baldoni frequently would ask God for guidance before making big creative decisions on the film. 2 more sources noted that there was an unusual amount of physical contact in the form of hugging among crew members. The faith's principles and ideas are interpreted and accepted in a variety of cultural contexts, says Hearn. In France, followers might be more inclined to hug, in Saudi Arabia, less so. Lively's suit does not explicitly mention Bahai by name, but the director's religious affinities guided many decisions that had been made on the set. According to her suit, Lively became alarmed when she learned that Adam Manchin, the unknown actor Baldoni had cast as a doctor in an intimate scene in which Miss Lively's character gives birth, was Baldoni's best friend. Turns out Manchin was more than that. He was also a fellow Bahai, whose biggest previous credit had been The Gate, Dawn of the Bahai Faith. Okay, but okay. I feel confused about this because I understand why they would point out, like, okay, Baldoni has all these, like, close people who he's bringing in. But, like, Blake very much did not say, and also that this guy had the same religion as Justin is why I was uncomfortable. Like, she was uncomfortable because they didn't hire him the way that they would typically hire a day player like that. So I feel like this article is being really weird, just in terms of it's assigning intentions to Blake, and it's assigning that, like, Baldoni never possibly could have had any intentions other than just being a beautiful little boy. So I don't understand. In her suit, Lively also accused Baldoni of claiming that he could speak to the dead and informed her that he had talked to her late father, who died in 2021. That tracks with a 2017 video lecture Baldoni gave as part of a Bahai teaching series titled, "What If Birth and Death Are Actually the Same?" He has also referenced his interest in the afterlife in interviews. The people that love us the most aren't here anymore are just guiding us in these beautiful ways, Baldoni said on the Gents Talk podcast. I can so often feel the nudge. According to her, and while there is a strong belief in the afterlife, the Bahai writings don't say much about seances, noting that it is not encouraged to speak to the dead. It's a bit fringe for Bahai, he says. It wasn't just Baldoni who ran into issues when interacting with cast members. So this is where they out Jenny Slate, which I am very upset about. And we can talk about how upset we are about this, but I will read it first and then we will pause. It wasn't just Baldoni who ran into issues when interacting with cast members. The Hollywood Reporter has learned more about the nature of the complaint that It Ends With Us actress Jenny Slate lodged, which is referenced in court documents but with Slate's name redacted. It stemmed from an interaction with Heath about the apartment Slate had rented in New York City, where It Ends With Us was shooting. Slate, who has a toddler, told him she wasn't thrilled with the space she had rented, but that moving wasn't an option because she didn't want to lose the sizable security deposit, around $15,000. Heath informed Slate that Wayfarer would reimburse her for the lost security deposit so she could find better accommodations, but apparently he made the offer using language that made Slate so uncomfortable. Sources say he focused intensely on the sanctity of motherhood and Slate's role as a mother, that she filed a complaint to the film's distributor Sony about the incident. A spokesperson for Slate did not return multiple requests for comments. According to a source, Heath has a different understanding of their interaction. He's told people that even when Wayfarer offered a kind gesture, it was weaponized against them. Yeah, I agree. Hot Twunk 420, great username. I agree that I don't think that the friend being the same religion was relevant. Like, I think I kind of understand why they think it was relevant, but I don't think that actually has anything to do with Blake. I don't think that Blake thought that. Okay. But this here, apparently he made the offer using language that made Slate so uncomfortable. Sources say he focused intensely on the sanctity of motherhood and Slate's role as a mother. So let me, I should not speculate, and I should try not to speculate, but I'm just saying, can you imagine maybe if what he said was along the lines of, like, being a mother is the most important job you have, like, that maybe that might make a working professional woman feel uncomfortable? Like, he must have said it in, like, a particularly patriarchy and nasty way, but, like, it's not unbelievable to me. It's not out of the realm of possibility that these people who were so goddamn weird about Blake Lively breastfeeding, about people, like, about, oh, she's breastfeeding and she says she's uncomfortable, but Baldoni's wife has a pumping device, so actually they were totally comfortable with it. Like, it's nasty. And I also, like, I feel like Jenny Slate would have had to be a little bit pushed to be like, no, I don't want you to pay $15,000 so that I can spend more time with my kid. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like if the offer was made in a, like, oh, we can help you with that if you need more space, and then it was, like, just, like, chill, whatever, she might not even have wanted that. But again, like, them being weird about her being a mother makes so much goddamn sense to me. And also, another little I was right moment, but I had joked, because Justin calls Blake Jenny Slate and not Jenny when he makes the comment about her nose. had joked that Jenny must have already not liked them by then, and if this was early on, maybe this is why. Yeah, but Heath obviously thinks that he also has done nothing wrong. He's a soaking wet little meow meow. Everybody was just looking for things to be offended about. Yeah, I can't imagine how creepy that conversation must have been that Jenny turned down 15 grand and immediately called HR. Exactly. I've seen multiple people saying her complaint is obviously a nothing burger, and I could not possibly agree less. I bet that man said something very fucking weird. I agree. It's the birth video guy. He had to have been weird. Yeah, exactly. Great point. Also, that makes me think that they were weirdly fetishistic about the breastfeeding. Like, I initially thought it was just to see her breast, but it seems like a mom fetish. Yes. Have you heard, or brother, have you read Justin Baldoni's letter to his wife about how she gave birth to his child? And it's like a very, like, pro-natalist. It's strange. What I notice is the general public seems to completely forget everything they knew about a woman when it's time to grab pitchforks. If Jenny Slate took offense to it, I'm sure it was an atrocious comment. Exactly. Completely agree. Off topic, but I love the hair. Thank you. I knew that I wanted to dye it, and then I bleached it, and there was a lot of dead ends. So I kept cutting more and more off, and it's shorter than I thought I was gonna go, but I'm really happy with it. I think it's cute. I was wanting like a big dramatic change. Okay, so there is nothing in the sacred Bahai texts on how to behave on a movie set. There's nothing that addresses how to collaborate with an A-list movie star, but whether it was from his religion, his natural personality, or his self-admitted neurodivergence, referenced in the court document, people who have worked with Baldoni say that he tends to be deferential, sometimes too much so. Everybody is valuable, no matter where you are in the hierarchy of the production, says a source who worked on 5 Feet Apart of Baldoni's interpersonal directorial style. Everyone had the ability to bring up any concerns that are happening in our community. He liked to use that term, community. That deference, not surprisingly, opened up a power vacuum on the set of It Ends With Us, and Lively, sources say, was more than happy to step into that vacuum. As the director and star of It Ends With Us, whose production company financed the film, Baldoni certainly had a fair amount of power. But Baldoni is no A-lister. Sure, he made a name for himself on the television show Jane the Virgin, and he has since directed 3 features, an episode of Jane the Virgin, and some short documentaries. Lively, on the other hand, has been a bona fide movie star for more than a decade. She's on the short list of actresses prominent enough to convince the studio to greenlight a project. And, with husband Ryan Reynolds, one of the most bankable actors working in Hollywood today, comprises one of the most formidable couples in the industry. It's not really fair, Ari Emanuel said at an event last week, noting the power imbalance between Baldoni and Lively. Fairness, however, didn't stop Emanuel from referring to the director as baloney while speaking at the Wilshire Ebel Theater for a live podcast taping, or from booting him from his client roster, which also, not coincidentally, includes Lively and Reynolds. WME also dropped Baldoni's Wayfarer, which could result in the company losing projects like Pac-Man, costing it potentially hundreds of millions of dollars. According to several sources, Reynolds has been extremely active over the past few weeks, calling around the industry to try to drum up as much support as he can among friends and colleagues. I've known Ryan and Blake for over a decade, Emmanuel went on. They're really incredible people. In Hollywood, they have been incredibly successful. The conflict between Baldoni and Lively came to a head when the production resumed filming after pausing for 6 months during the Writers Guild strike. An all-hands meeting was called with executives from Wayfarer, Sony, and Lively, along with Reynolds, to discuss the conditions for the resumption of filming. It was at that January 4th, 2024 meeting that Lively threatened to walk from the project unless Baldoni and Heath signed off on a wide-ranging list of 30 demands, which had in sum painted a picture of a set that was totally out of control. I was like adding words. The demands suggested that there had been instances of unprofessional and sexually inappropriate behavior. Baldoni and Heath signed off. He never should have signed off on that, says a source who's both friendly and sympathetic to Baldoni. But if you look at the statement, it doesn't say I will stop doing these things. It says I won't do this. There's a big difference. Last week, at Saturday Night Live's 50th anniversary special, much of Hollywood royalty gathered at Studio 8H to celebrate the milestone. The event was packed with A-listers, including Steven Spielberg, Cher, Kevin Costner, Jack Nicholson, and scores of others, including Lively and Reynolds. During an on-air question and answer skit hosted by Tina Fey and Amy Poehler, Fey asked Reynolds, "How's it going?" to which he responded, "Great, why, what have you heard?" prompting laughs as Lively looked on, playing the concerned spouse. It was a valiant attempt to deflect from the seriousness of the situation, but the reality is, Lively and Reynolds are locked in a battle in which both sides see themselves as the aggrieved underdog. Lively has shared with friends that she considers this a fight that's bigger than her, one likely to be remembered as the spark that ignited the next chapter of the #MeToo movement. On the other side is a billionaire producer, a novice film director, and a small group of Bahai employees who believe they are simply living up to the moral code of their faith. Could they both be right? Not even Ms. Pac-Man, fake feminist. Right, if he was a feminist, it should have been Miss Pac-Man. That's such a good point. I never thought of that. He wants Miss Pac-Man to fill the void that the green M&M design left behind. It's being spread by Justin Baldoni fans that Ari Emanuel has a significant stake to The Hollywood Reporter. I haven't found any evidence of that, but they're acting like it's proof that it was actually Blake Lively that leaked Slate's complaint. I really don't think it was. I think Heath probably told them. That it was Jenny. Like, I would completely imagine that it would be Heath. They're trying to throw everything at the wall and see what sticks. It's a tactic to overwhelm the public. Yep, flooding the zone. They know they'll lose in the court of the law, so they want to dominate in court of public opinion, which is also why Johnny Depp didn't even fucking try when they got the appeal. He just settled because he knew that Amber was going to beat him. Yeah. So I hate this. I hate ending something like this with, like, could they both be right? Like, come on, dude. Like, no, they can't. They cannot both be right. And also, is it the moral code of your faith to show a woman a video of your wife giving birth that she doesn't want to see and that she didn't ask to see? Is it the moral code of your faith? If your faith is about equality between the genders, is it the moral code of your faith to go on such a weird, bizarre tangent to one of your female actresses that her, like, about her being a mother, that she files an HR complaint? The tone of this being maybe neither was wrong makes me wonder if their side is feeling weak and wants to balance things to minimize damage in the case Lively wins. Yeah, I think it's definitely, like, it's a desperation thing. It's like, oh god, what can we possibly do? But, like, come on. He's the only director in Hollywood who's capable of talking to the ghosts and tell them how to do scenes with Pac-Man. It's interesting that we've just started focusing on the apartment with Keith's incident, and then this comes out. Oh, is that when it says something about them being filmed? Was that about Baldoni filming people without their consent, or about filming other people, and it was Heath filming? Because I think when I read that, I assumed that it was Baldoni filming people without their consent. But if it's Heath, that's also interesting. Are those HR complaints circulating real then? I don't believe that this is what I remember from the HR complaint that was circulating. At least maybe not. But maybe I'm wrong. I remember reading some that were really upsetting, but I didn't see enough in them that made me feel like I was, like, comfortable even saying, like, oh, these might not be real. I still didn't want to read them, you know what I mean? Like, on a video. I read them privately. But I do need to double check those that leaked against it, because my thing when I was looking at the complaints is I felt like the complaints that leaked were from Baldoni's side, and they were intentionally to make it so that whatever did come out seemed less intense. which I could be wrong, but I feel like they wanted to put something out there so that people had it in their head of like, this is the bad thing that they're claiming, so that it would then make them look like a liar if it had less details or if it was a different sort of complaint. That was just my like gut feeling when I read those. And then when I read Blake's amended complaint and I saw that she was keeping the names private, I was relieved for that, which again frustrates me that the Hollywood Reporter didn't also stand to that. I mean, I know also in my own video I was like, these are most likely Isabel and Jenny, but I do feel like actually being a publication and being like, and here's what was in that complaint and who left it, like that, I don't like that. I don't like that at all. I can't stand Justin. I've had enough of him. Candace Owens, Justin's lawyer, and Justin's pathetic fans, and the misogyny going on to Blake and Taylor. Yeah. I think they're leaked to muddy the waters as to what is real or not real. I think so. Yeah. The leak, though, Abel lied either way. Could they both be right, but mainly the guy? Could the guy be mostly in the red here? Please agree with me. Yeah. Was it filming or recording audio? I'm not sure. She said Lively complained twice, then told TMZ she never did. Yeah. Also, so I read on like it's on my Patreon, but it's just like hosted on the Patreon because I just didn't want to do like a main channel video just of me reading like 7 minutes worth of the amended or worth of the motion that Blake's publicist put in. But I read Blake's publicist's motion to dismiss the like timeline and everything from Baldoni and Friedman's side and stuff. And I thought that was really well put, and I also appreciated that they like actually pointed out, because I remember being so confused by those screenshots where somebody was saying, WTF, why does it now say sexually assaulted? Because she never said sexually assaulted. And so what that screenshot was where somebody was saying, WTF, why didn't she say sexually assaulted then? That was somebody who realized that they had gotten talked out of listening when Leslie was saying this is more than just creative differences and that they don't like her. Yeah. Interesting that the leaked HR complaints came out when this third-party organization started investigating them for Wayfarer. I want to point out that in the grand scheme of things, Blake is going to be okay, but what about the women who don't have her means, resources, or privilege? Exactly. And that's, I really liked, actually. Like, I think that this is meant to make her sound really pompous, right? This part here. Lively has shared with friends that she considers this a fight that's bigger than her, one likely to be remembered as the spark that ignited the next chapter of the #MeToo movement. Here's the thing. I think she's right. Especially if she wins. And I would also classify what happened to Amber Heard as part of whatever is coming next for, like, Me Too and whatever is coming next for, like, what we need to do as feminists. I think that's just true. And I do feel like it was phrased in a way to try to make her look like she's too big for her britches. But, like, I think that this is a big, important thing. And a lot of people are trying to tell me, like, oh, you are going to bat for, like, this wealthy white woman. Okay, if they can do it to her, what the fuck do you think that they've been doing to Meghan Markle, to Meg the Stallion, to women of color who are actresses who we don't even know by name because this kind of shit could have happened to them on their first set? Like, we need to care about this even when it's somebody who we don't think we need to care about, because the second that they convince you that it's okay to just leave these women to rot, they have won and you have lost, and you are not helping anybody by running around and being like, I'm so personally offended that this one lesbian is not making one video a week that is specifically for me and that she is taking Blake Lively's side. I'm so upset by that. I need to tell her that I want her to stop doing this. Like, no. Either you stop paying attention to my content for a little bit, which is fine with me. You can just go watch somebody else, or you deal with the fact that I have the perspective that I have and that I am reporting on this from my own perspective because I'm making conversational videos. Like, it's so often, like, either they'll be telling me, you shouldn't be talking about this because she's lying. You shouldn't be talking about this because we don't have to believe all women. What if we believe all women and women are lying? Or they'll say, even if she's not lying, they'll be like, you shouldn't care about this because she's a wealthy white woman. Like, no, I do still care about it. My feminism does not actually allow me to just drop my empathy for a woman just because she is wealthy or just because she is white. Like, this is just not how that works for me. The fact that we have to go to bat for her is the problem. Right. Holding a lighter aloft for this rant. Thank you. Thank you. When Baldoni said she is the type of person who feels genuinely right about her cause and will fight for what she thinks is right, I was like, whoa, that's a compliment. Yeah, I completely agree. Did you hear about the Gents Talk podcast that Baldoni was on? I saw some people who had been on the fence finally realizing he is not a feminist after watching it. I think that was mentioned just like once in this article and that I hadn't heard about it yet, but I am interested in listening to it. I know I've teased a little bit before that I want to do like a fuller Baldoni deep dive, and something that I want to do for that is I want to watch his TED Talk. I want to watch not his whole podcast, but there's definitely some of the podcast that I want to watch. There is like there's a podcast episode about Me Too with Justin Baldoni and Scooter Braun. And I would like to watch that. It's gonna make me really angry, but I would like to watch that. So I would love to do that, and then also maybe this podcast episode and this video where he's talking about what if birth and death are the same thing. I think maybe we should do all of that as like research streams together. I think that would be more enjoyable for me than just sitting there watching this stuff alone would be. So if there's interest in that, I definitely would love to do that. It's frustrating because there's still a tendency to center the Me Too conversations around wealthy, privileged white women, but we should have moved past that by now to women who aren't as privileged. Yeah, and I feel like there's just like I feel like it's impossible to actually like, you know, and this is it's I understand why people are frustrated and why people are saying like, let's focus on something else. Let's focus on somebody who has less resources. Let's focus on somebody who's like whatever. But like even Blake Lively is like, even with all of her privilege, all of this is so bad and has been so bad for her. And so again, if we're not allowed to talk about it while it's happening to this wealthy white woman, who the fuck do you think is going to care enough to talk about it when it's happening to somebody else? Nobody. Nobody is going to care because we're accepting that this is okay if we don't like its target. And it is so much easier for people to accept somebody who they're not inclined to like as an acceptable target for misogyny, which again is why these tactics work so horrifically well when they put them against women of color, when they put them against trans women. Like I have so much just built up about this because it upsets me so much, and then it upsets me so much more when people are like, why are you talking about this? Like somebody on my community tab post earlier, they were like, this is a really weird hill to die on. And it's like, it's a weird hill to die on that you think that you get to dictate my content and whether or not I continue talking about this thing I care about. That is a weird hill for you to die on. Go die on another hill. Well, and you also talk about other victims of assault, like Drake Bell's victims. Exactly. Like, it's really not as if I have never cared about this kind of thing before, and then I suddenly care about Blake Lively and only Blake Lively. Like, I feel like it should be pretty transparent by now that I care about Blake Lively because it is such a microcosm of these other things that I talk about and that I care about. He recognized she actually believed in her stance as opposed to the grift he himself does. Also, again, I feel like he resents that she understood Colleen Hoover and this project more than him. Yeah. Well, it's something that I didn't know until recently, or like I knew, I guess, but I just didn't really think about it. That Blake didn't even audition. Blake did not even audition for Hollywood. Like, she didn't audition for It Ends With Us. In a Hollywood Reporter thing that I was reading the other night, Justin said that he and Blake had like a 3-hour interaction the first time they met, and then he texted her afterwards and he was like, you are Lily Bloom. So it's like they sought her out and they cast her in this movie, and then they're trying to frame that like she doesn't understand it. She didn't read the book. I don't know if it's true that she didn't read the book at any point or if she just hadn't read it at the time that Justin was sending those texts about her or what. But, like, even if she hadn't read the book, I completely agree that Blake Lively understood Colleen Hoover and the way that that was all supposed to be marketed better. Because, again, Colleen Hoover branding is very similar to what the movie branding was, other than what Baldoni decided to start doing. Various and sundry. People who think you only talk about this haven't been here for your other content. Yeah, right, exactly. Thank you. Yes, please get off Opie's Hill. I'm expecting a full Russell Brand type pivot. Yeah. I mean, if you look at the people who are supporting him, you have Candace Owens, you have Megyn Kelly, and all of these people are saying things like that they don't like his whole feminist thing, but at least he's over it. You're the only person on the internet that makes me feel sane. Thank you. Thank you so much. The truly fascinating part is the more the public responds to anyone bringing an accusation against a man who is so obviously claiming allyship for his body armor to cover for his misdeeds. Yeah. If we don't see and call out injustices done to women we dislike, it endangers us all. I agree. I'm really hoping the guy Abel was so dismissive of with the ageism complaint sues Justin Baldoni, make the stands make all the same sexist remarks for that HR action. Yeah. Yeah, what society says about the sexual harassment against Blake Lively sends a message to every woman who experiences sexual harassment. If you are not a perfect and likable person, you cannot be a victim. Exactly. I completely agree. That is, like, part of why this just bothers me so much. I feel like everything always comes down to this whole perfect victim myth where everybody wants their to be like people will ask for more and more information from a victim, but what they're actually asking for is just the right amount of information that they can stop believing the victim. And so they will say, why doesn't she want to keep telling us anything? Like, well, why won't she keep giving us details? Because they're asking them to, like, bleed themselves dry of all this information, and yet what they're actually asking for is just a good excuse to stop believing them. Also, there are fairly old videos of Colleen Hoover talking about of the story of Lily Bloom is one of hope. Yeah, I saw I saw somebody on Blue Sky. I can't remember her name. Oh God, I really like her too. I feel like maybe she's gonna watch this stream later. And if you do, hi. I think you know who I'm talking about. I think you know I'm talking about you. But somebody earlier on Blue Sky, they were pointing out that in the end of the It Ends With Us book, Colleen Hoover describes that, like, this is a book about Lily Bloom, and this is about Lily Bloom's story of hope or whatever, and, like, it's not about the romance, it's not about Ryle, blah, blah, blah. Like, I feel like Lively understood what Colleen thought she was doing, even though I do not think that It Ends With Us was a good book, or that it made a good movie, or that it ever was going to make a good movie. Like, I feel like for what it was, Blake was pretty on key. I've been wanting to do a mini-series on my channel about male feminists. Baldoni might be my first case. I'm thinking of calling it Faux Feminist Phonies. I love that. I think that's really great. You could talk about, like, so many people with that narrative, too. I think that that's a really great framework. He's going to realize that it's hard to walk the line of a real ally, and he clearly prefers the dude bro atmosphere with a little Bahai flavor. Yeah, I saw this, and new feminists need to respond to this bullshit. I'm so tired of men getting away with this. Exactly. Also, I'm so proud of Opie. You got the chat running. Yeah, it's working now. I have not read the books yet. I've thought about it, and I feel like at this point I have dedicated so many hours of my life to talking about the circumstances behind this movie that I should. I feel like I should read the book, and I feel like I should also watch the movie, because I would like to talk about I've had this idea in the back of my head, and then I saw a thread on the Baldoni Files Reddit the other day, so it, like, confirmed to me that other people would be interested. But I've wanted to make a video doing sorry, I got distracted by Sunny. Colleen Hoover is like Twilight if Myers wasn't Mormon. Yes. That is extremely accurate. That's pretty much all you need. No, I don't think that's offensive. Yeah, Joss Whedon, another one for the Faux Male Feminist series, completely. Yeah, Joss Whedon, there was a really good video recently. It's on my, You Should Be Listening to Other Feminists playlist about Aziz Ansari. That video was fantastic. I thought it was really, really good. And I think he's a good example. I think you could even also make the argument to include Louis C.K. there. I think a lot of people today wouldn't think of him as a feminist, but I feel like people had an idea of him as that a little bit at some point. Like, I always think about how weird it was that like there was a gift set on Tumblr that was really popular of him being like if you hurt somebody, you don't get to tell them how much you hurt them, and then that like was huge, and everybody would reblog that, and then he's a fucking predator. I will defend Blake, but I really can't bring myself to read Colleen Hoover's book. Yeah. Yeah, everything I've heard about her books, including extracts, really get me head scratching over how she got so big. Yeah, I think she's messy, and people who maybe haven't, this sounds mean, this sounds really pretentious. I think Colleen Hoover writes books for people who want to get back into reading and haven't been reading for a while. Like, it's very simplistic, very easy prose. The plot ideas seem to be like maybe a little bit more convoluted or like dark than like what you're typically going to pick up if you pick up a romance novel, leading to honestly like a lot of controversy about whether or not it should be shelved in romance, especially because there's so much domestic violence and stuff. Like, there's a lot that goes into Colleen's success, and I you know, she's a successful woman. She's a very successful woman, but I don't know how deserved I think that is in terms of her writing style. I think Louis C.K. had more of a rep as a racial justice ally, not a feminist. That makes sense to me, yeah. Problem is that people never progress from Hoover, and she somehow has convinced people she's literary fiction. Exactly. Completely agree. Like, there's nothing wrong with reading a Colleen Hoover book and enjoying it, even though even when I do read It Ends With Us, I'm sure I will not enjoy it. But I do think that there is certainly a whole big world of books out there that people should be reading instead. Yes, Louis C.K. had a lot of bits that had more pro-women slant to them than a lot of his peers, so it was sad but not surprising for me. Thank you. Yeah, I think I mentioned the, like, you don't get to tell people how much you hurt him, but I think he also had, like, a stand-up bit that was basically the choosing the bear thing. Where he was saying, like, if a woman goes on a date with somebody, he might kill her, and can you imagine that? And it's, like, then him ending up being a piece of shit is just, like, really sad and really gross. Oh, thank you. Hairstyle and color is so cute. It's giving Penelope Garcia from Criminal Minds. Thank you. I'm very excited about this haircut. It's like a lot bouncier than it was before because I cut off so much dead weight. So I feel like if I were to comb it out, it would probably be like 1.5 inches longer than it is right now. But I'm happy with how it's, yeah. I watched the movie right before the lawsuit dropped, and yeah, my friends and I all hated Baldoni as Ryle even before we knew what a creep he was IRL. Yeah, he's not good at acting. I mean, I guess that's mean. I remember hating him in Jane the Virgin, but I can't remember if that was because I hated the character or if it's because I didn't think he was good at acting. But his acting in It Ends With Us is really bad, and I felt really uncomfortable during like his introduction scene, the rooftop scene. He comes out and he's like throwing stuff around and kicking a chair, and like that's from the movie. I mean, well, obviously it's from the movie. That's from the book, so like I knew it was coming because I had watched people's YouTube videos about the book. But it was uncomfortable to watch. It's especially uncomfortable to watch given that I know some of the things that he said about like getting too in character and having to come back from it. That's really uncomfortable to watch. Also, Legal Eagle, who I adore, Legal Eagle compared it to Tommy Wiseau's acting in The Room, and I thought that was really accurate. Yeah, Legal Eagle was right to roast his acting. Yeah, Yeah, Baldoni had controversy in Jane the Virgin because he was cast as a Latino character despite not being Latino. And then they had to, like, change the backstory in the show. Like, they had to be like, he's an adopted Italian boy named Raphael. And that's why we cast a man who is not Latino to play a Latino character named Raphael Solana. As Ryle, I was watching her and I realized I went too far. Yeah, I don't understand it. He's not. That was the only reason I liked him for a bit. Yeah, I've had multiple people in the comment section be like surprised and aggrieved to realize that he's not Latino. Yeah. TBH, I felt like you could feel Blake's pain during the rooftop scene footage. I genuinely think that the rooftop scene is maybe the best scene in the movie in terms of like Blake having anything at all to do. Which when I watched that and I knew that it was the scene that she has gotten so much shit for retooling with her husband made me feel sad. Like I think it's there's something in the dialogue. Like I agree that throughout there's like a lot of tension and you can kind of feel that these two actors maybe don't like each other. But when Blake has like these little lines in there, it feels like it's the only time in the movie where she really is given lines that actually suit her. And yeah, I think somebody pointed this out on the Reddit the other day too, the Baldoni Files Reddit, that like the birth scene in the hospital is like weird and it feels awkward and you're thinking like, why are they like cuddling up like this if they're about to break up, and whatever he was going to change for the birth scene obviously would have made it worse if they were going to try to make it a fucking water birth or whatever. But then you have this scene that he's so mad that did get changed, and it seems to have gotten changed for the better. I can see why Blake wanted to rewrite the rooftop scene because the dialogue was actually pretty humorous, and I thought it sounded very much like how she and Ryan might speak. I agree. Yeah, I think increasingly I'm liking Blake Lively more and more as all this goes on, so that's also why I liked the part of the movie where she kind of sounds like herself. Baldoni's look was very intense to me, but I kept trying to gut check myself about it. Yeah, I'm honestly, I wonder if his PR team told him that he needed to dial back the whole method acting excuse thing, because I'm surprised that more people don't discuss that. Like Aaron was saying in chat, there's like, sorry, I lost my train of thought. Oh god, I lost it. I'm so sorry. I couldn't finish the movie because Justin and Blake have no chemistry whatsoever. Yeah, it did not, it was not good to watch. It was not fun to watch. It's like I think the movie is like 2 hours long or maybe less than 2 hours, and it took me like 3.5 hours to get through because I kept just pausing it and not wanting to watch it. Yes, thank you, Aaron. The Access Hollywood interview, you're on it. But yeah, so like Aaron was saying in chat, there is the Access Hollywood interview where he's saying that he was kind of like, I don't think he exactly says that he was method acting, but I think he does say that he got too far and he had to like pull himself back and he didn't think about how that was affecting Blake, all of which sounds so incredibly fucking damning. I've got a thought here too in terms of like, it mentions about the religion in here. There's a strict internal code and that strict equality among men and women is part of the religion. And this is a thing that keeps coming up for me, is Justin Baldoni thinks that he's a feminist because his religion believes that men and women are equal. And that is not the same thing as being a feminist. Like, he, I think, has successfully branded himself on feminism just by right of subscribing to a religion that, like, preaches equality, which it's not a bad thing for a religion to preach equality, and I'm not even saying that I have any reason to believe that Bahai is sexist. Like, sounds like they try not to be. However, this is an American man. Which is another reason why them saying that this is a cultural thing is downright offensive to our intelligence. This is an American man, and therefore this would not be a cultural misunderstanding for him. He was raised here. He was raised in California, but like he was raised in America. So like it's not just thinking that there's equality between men and women and that that's an important thing. That's not all it takes to be a feminist. Yeah, activism requires acting. Exactly. So I really think that there's like, you know, I mean, maybe we'll learn in the deep dive that he's actually been like espousing actual feminist literature. But I really believe that Justin Baldoni just thinks that he is a feminist because of the fact that he believes in the concept of equality between genders. And that equality that he feels between genders is weird and fucked up and natalist, and like I don't believe that he's not sexist. Let's letter to his wife. Let's read that. Justin Baldoni wrote a love letter to his wife. Ooh, that's very zoomed in. I'm glad I checked. So Kat Tenbarge actually has brought this up. I'm sure a lot of you here in the chat have already watched the A Bit Fruity podcast episode with Matt Bernstein and Kat Tenbarge, both of whom I adore. And Kat brought this up in that, which I did not know about it before that. And I've thought about it many, many days since. So we are going to read the Justin Baldoni Natalist Feminism love letter from July 14th, 2015. Justin Baldoni is an American actor and director. With his wife, Emily Baldoni, they welcomed their daughter, Maya Grace, in June this year. This month, Baldoni posted a letter to all women on his Facebook page. The response has been overwhelming. Women have been thanking him for writing something so beautiful that, for many, it brought tears to their eyes. Here is what he wrote. Dear women, and any man willing to read this, please forgive me as I gently offer up this prayerful reflection about my experience as a man during the pregnancy and birth of my daughter. This is a love letter to my wife, to my newborn daughter, and to you. I have never in my life witnessed such grace, such beauty, such intuition and instinct, such heroism and power, such prayerfulness and steadfastness, and such joy and happiness as I did the past 9 months. I may have thought I loved my wife before, but I'm not exaggerating when I say I absolutely worship her now. Emily chose to make our little Maya's birth a ceremony of love, and all I could do was say thank you, thank you, thank you, through tears and tears of gratitude. If you're a man reading this and you have a wife, take a second, stop, and simply embrace her. Tell her how grateful you are she exists, and let her know how honored you are to be able to experience life with her. Let her know that you trust her intuition, and that she is perfect. If you're a woman reading this, wrong you're, by the way. If you're a woman reading this, look in the mirror, stare into your own eyes, and know that you have everything you will ever need right in front of you. It's already inside you, and you are amazing and capable of literally anything. Know that anything a man can do, you can do, and probably better. And there are things that you can accomplish in this life that a man could never even dream of, because they were destined to be accomplished by you. So, if you see a glass ceiling, know that it's only there so you can shatter it. Know that you are beautiful just as you are, and you, my dear, are more than enough. You are perfection. These are the words I pray my little Maya will hear throughout her life, from not just me, but from all the men in her world. This is my prayer of gratitude and hope for all women. This is a reflection of a humbled and awestruck man who had the bounty of witnessing the power, the supremacy, and the radiance of the feminine, and the radiance of the feminine. This is simply a love letter, a letter of love, and a letter filled with love from a new father to anyone who needs to hear or read this. If that's you, just know, I love you, Justin. Completely ignoring lesbians, right? I want to have children, but this is just creepy. Always talking about how people thank him. This is so Roderick Heffley. I'm sorry, women coded. It is. It is. Let her know that you love her even more because of her reproductive capabilities. Noted. Exactly. That's the thing. Like, Kat Tenbarge described this as, like, a natalist feminism love letter, and I completely agree. Like, this is, I love my wife specifically because she made a baby for me and gave birth to it and let me watch it and make it into a ceremony. And I'm gonna write a letter about how I am so amazing for being married to a woman who gave birth for me, and I love it when she has my baby. Like, it's fucking weird. It's weird as hell. And the fact that there's, like, not any, like, again, there's no standards for people who call themselves feminists, that people are like, hey, it's maybe not a neutral thing if this, like, thing that this male feminist thinks is so amazing about women is simply reproducing. Maybe that's not super feminist. It's sad because I've started to spend more time with my younger cousins, and it made me realize how hard taking care of kids is. We should praise mothers, but not in this weird worship way. Yep. Dear Justin, never again tell a woman that birthing is her destiny, you sick pervert. Agree. Yeah, I think he is super obsessed with childbirth. He absolutely is. Like, again, and that also makes me think, because I, like the person in chat who said earlier, like, I kind of did assume that the breastfeeding thing was just because they wanted to cop a look, but I think that it's because they are specifically weird about, like, lactation and motherhood and childbirth. Like, I think they are weird as shit about all of it. And I think that just because in theory, and just because other people who practice the religion say that it has to do with equality between the genders, if you don't actually understand the feminism you espouse enough to realize that this is not a neutral act. It is not a neutral act to write a letter that says it is your destiny to give birth like men never can. That's not neutral. That is in fact sexist. Like, he's a weird sexist. Yeah, being pregnant is a huge ordeal from what I hear. It's months of creating a baby. You think he wanted to be in Jane the Virgin because he's really into pregnancy? Oh, God. Oh, God. Well, so his wife auditioned for Jane the Virgin before he did. She wanted to play Petra, and she didn't get the role. And then he auditioned to play Raphael, and he got the role. But I think very possible that he read the script, and he was like, oh, this is a show about the beauty of childbirth and a virgin birth. I could buy that. I could buy that. Yeah, he values mothers so much, but he can't give the mothers he works with enough breaks to pump. Crunchy granola pseudo-liberal... Crunchy granola pseudo-liberal sexism. Completely. Hard for me to get my mouth around for some reason, but that is exactly what it is. Do we know if the other Wayfarer guys practice Bahai? Jamie Heath and Steve Sarowitz do. And it sounds like from the beginning of the article that we were reading earlier that a lot of the people on set do, though it doesn't say exactly who. Because Wayfarer itself, which I've said this before too, because this is something that they've brought up when they talk about, like, the premiere party and Baldoni being locked in the basement or whatever. They're saying always in that they point out that their after party for the premiere was dry to be consistent with the morals of their company or something along those lines. So again, I've just always assumed that, like, Wayfarer, even though they think that they're not saying that they're even though they're not saying that they're like only going to hire people who have this religion, like, I do feel like they think that it's I think that it's sorry, I'm just getting distracted by chat. But yeah, I think they might not have directly said, like, hey, you have to be in this religion to work here, but, like, very clearly they had the idea that they were pushing, like, good values and good morals and stuff. And also we know that they think having a dry after party is part of that. Letter is not just heteronormative, but is also allonormative and amatonormative. Yeah, it is. Sounds like a Scientology vibe, yeah. I think that's why Sarowitz is so invested in protecting Wayfarer. It's deeply tied to this vehicle to promote the religion. Exactly. Because that's the thing, okay? Because I think we're pretty much... Ooh! Didn't mean to do that. I'm so sorry. I was just trying to make myself bigger. I wanna move myself over here, I think. Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of cute. Okay. So, now that I'm here. So... I do think that, again, I just think that this idea that they already had, that this is what they were going to do with their new production company that Steve Sarowitz put like $125 million into or whatever. They have this idea that they're going to be promoting their values, they're going to be promoting their religion, they're going to be promoting all of this, except what is the thing that would ruin that more than anything else? It would be somebody saying, hey, I don't think that they do have good morals. I think that I had a bad experience on set. So all of the shit that he's quoted as saying about how, you know, he's going to destroy them, he's going to put infinite money down to protect Wayfarer, that makes so much sense because, again, it's not Blake's fault that there is something to protect against. It is explicitly Baldoni and Heath's fault that there is something to protect against. But, like, he does that motivation to me of, like, I need to protect this because this is my thing that I'm doing. This is my outreach. This is, like, my religious group. And these movies that we make are religious and that's more interesting than, that's more interesting to me, I think. I don't know. Sorry, I'm just double checking here. I think Justin doesn't really take into account trans people, which in itself is transphobic even unintentionally. You can't be in a position of power like this and not take other people's experiences. Yeah. All women are perfect except Blake Lively and Jenny Slate's nose. I know it's not exactly the same, but it is giving Scientology vibes. Yes, no, I agree. I think it does. Somebody in that Hollywood Reporter article also said Scientology vibes. But yeah, I think it's very clear that they want to protect Wayfarer, and everybody else is trying to say, like, and okay, that's what I was gonna say. Sorry, because when I was saying it's more interesting to me, and then I just completely lost my train of thought. I remembered. Don't worry. It's more interesting to me to think that is the story behind this. That. Not that the religion made them sexually harass her, because I do not believe that, and I don't think anybody in the chat believes that either. I don't think that their religion or their faith made them be inappropriate at work, but I do think that their faith being such a thing that this production company was supposed to be a vehicle for made them so much more willing to smear her to protect their production company. Ooh, spiritual power of the feminine qualities, Emily Baldoni. This video on Bahai teaching is very trad wife-like. Ooh, we will definitely look into that. My thing is, I'm really enjoying streaming. I'm having fun. This is a fantastic way to spend my Friday night. I need to eat. I haven't eaten in a while, and I need to eat. I might, if would people come back if I stream like late at night and we watch some Baldoni content after I eat? I'll be gone for like, I don't know. I would be coming back kind of late. I'd be coming back probably in like an hour-ish. Or maybe we can just do this later. Probably not tomorrow. I have something tomorrow, but yeah, if people would come back if I leave and then I come back after I grab some food, I will come back, because I think that would be really interesting to watch this thing from his wife, and I believe you that it's very trad wife. I would like to watch this, and I would also like to watch his our death and life the same thing video. I think that would also be useful. Oh, we got people in the chat. My thing was, yeah. Yay, Opie had #1. Awesome. Is Emily in the religion too? I think so, but I'm not positive. I'm just assuming based on her doing something. But yeah, I would return. Excellent. Awesome. Okay, yeah, enough of you saying you're gonna come back. I'll come back, but I've been silently lurking. I'm quilting, so I'll be here all night. Awesome. Okay, perfect. Oh no, it's 3 a.m. I'm so sorry. Yeah, it'll stay up for like a video on demand later. But okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and drop real soon then, actually, so that I can eat and then come back, and then we'll eat. It's the middle of the day in Australia. Great. Yeah, I think this will be good for it'll be good for the international people at least, and if there's any late night people here in America. Okay, awesome. Yeah, so I will go eat, and I'll be back roughly an hour, probably a little bit less than an hour, and we will watch some Baldoni content. Oh, thank you so much. I'm so glad everybody enjoys the live streams. They are so much fun to do. I was really nervous when I used to think about live streaming because it just like I did not think that it would be nearly this fun. But it is so fun to be able to like directly interact with people and like get like suggestions and feedback on stuff. And also really helpful if I'm like struggling to want to motivate myself to actually watch something, which is going to be the case with a lot of this Baldoni stuff. Like I've wanted to watch his TED Talk for a long time and I just have not. So yeah. Okay, awesome. Well, I'm gonna take a dinner break, so I'm gonna stop the stream and then it will be a new stream next time. But this one is gonna stay up. Also, when it does go back up, if anybody goes back to the beginning, several minutes are just quiet because my microphone wasn't working yet, and then I turned the microphone on. So at some point in the future, I will put timestamps for when it actually starts. But I'm not gonna do that right now just because I'm gonna go eat. But yeah, I will be back soon. Thank you all very much. I love you. Let me turn off my camera actually, because I think sometimes it takes a second to actually end the stream, and I'm so anxious about that. Video capture device. Okay, now bye.